Hey Shredders, this is episode 4 of Learning from My Mistakes. In this video, we'll be covering 2015. I was 15 years old, and at the start of the season, I broke both my arms. Let's go play that clip really quick because that really impacts your season, smashing both your arms, especially at a tow rope. So that is my first ever broken bones, and it wasn't a very pleasant experience. Here's how I broke them both right here. Wrist guards on, early season, and just snap them. I went and wrote "It's worth the pain" on the one and "Not too broken shred" on the other because I'm cool like that. Uh, we'll start with this and break down why this happened because this is one of those dumb mistakes that you make on the planning side and then the execution side. So my coaches told me this jump was too small to go and actually do a back five on. So I'm like, okay, well, do it off a side hit. And at this point, I was doing my corks by throwing completely down. So look at how much I'm snapping and committing to doing this front roll. This is making it so I have a lot of momentum being generated into that downward arc. Combine that with a very flat landing with this traverse and then some bad wrist positioning. And you can almost see the wrist snap right there. So a snap hit my face really hard, and my bindings actually got stuck, and I couldn't get off my board. So it was not a good experience. That just goes to show you, wait until you have a proper jump for a feature. Don't rush to go do your tricks until you have the proper equipment to do them. But besides that, this was an amazing year for me. I rode 5 days a week and really made good progression. Here's my first day back jumping with my broken wrist, and this is classic. You'll be seeing my problem here: breaking at the waist, throwing down, grabbing too soon, causing me to under rotate a lot and land heel heavy. For the back five here, you can really see how I'm sort of making do with the breaking at the waist, but it's affecting me. So this one, I got super corked because I went and broke so much. Uh, the reason why, if you break at your waist, it corks you is because when you're whistling forward, it makes it so as you're flowing down, your momentum is actually sending you downwards instead of just completely sideways. And that's where this little bit of dip's coming from. So that's a cork, but it's an unnatural cork and improper. The reason why it's improper is look at how it's lining me up to come into the landing. My flip to spin ratio is incorrect, and that's what you'll get a lot when you go and try to throw your corks down like this. I'm pretty sure this one is my actual attempt at the cork. No, that is an attempt at a backside 720. So this is really interesting because this is my first ever attempt at a back seven. And the reason why it doesn't work is because this downward motion doesn't let you go and get full extension in your upper body. When you go and throw down towards the ground like this, it's going to stop you from going and having that momentum carry through, making you just very stiff and very not in a strong position to generate rotation. I'm also going and reaching in towards the grab, what's going and exaggerating this mistake, and that's making me grab close to 180. If you don't know, you really want to be grabbing your 720s around here. So if I would have grabbed at this 270 position here and been in this position, I would have been able to take my arm and pull through the spin, and that would help me continue my momentum. But because I went and reached down for the grab right away, it actually stopped my momentum and made it so I don't have the ability to go and readjust and pull through that second part of the spin. And that's making it so instead of going and pulling the spin, I'm letting my head sort of drag. When you're doing a 720, you need to make sure that your head is leading the rotation. So see how I'm looking straight sort of at the camera here? That's a great sign that this 720 would never work, even with a perfect snap, because this head position would need to be right here underneath the arm, reaching around, leading the rotation, coming to that landing. If you're in a neutral position with your upper body, neutral position in your legs, halfway through your spin on a 7, it's not going to result in a completed 720. And that's why I need to go and let go, and I try to use counter rotation to pull my legs around. But the combination of not knowing where I am in the air because I'm not leading the rotation and not leading with my upper body makes it so the counter rotation doesn't work and I'm not able to correct my axis of rotation. So this is super far off, really bad takeoff, but I would have been able to get close to landing if I would have grabbed here and let my upper body lead rotation with the eyes. That's why you really want to train your rotations by letting that upper body lead and getting used to that, because I can't do it on freeze, I can't do it on fives, so I'm for sure not going to be able to do it on sevens. Here's another 720 attempt, and you can see I'm just not able to go and put much effort into it. and that is with that throwing down motion. When you're throwing down this much, you won't be able to put much power, because the more power you put, the more it's going to cork you, the more it's going to flip you. Here we have a front free, and this is a very textbook mistake on a front free, and it's two things. First of all, I'm going and throwing my upper body way too soon. See how I'm going and finishing this upper body snap position before my tail snaps off the end? This is happening for a couple reasons. Mainly though, it's just too early on the timing. And when you do this, it halts your upper body rotation, making it so you're not going to get as much snap. I'm okay here because I'm grabbing melon, and melon really speeds up your spin because it goes and leads with that shoulder. And then the other mistake I'm doing here is I'm throwing into that grab. So see how as I leave off the lip, my upper body is already in position to grab? You really want to give that full extension before grabbing. So that's a big mistake. And then this mistake I'm making here, I actually don't fix into much later. I think like another 3 or so years. And that is my spotting. At this point, I didn't know the actual principles of how you're supposed to blind land. So to spot my frontside 360, instead of going and locking my eyes in on the knuckle and holding the spot, instead I rotate my spot around my shoulder, and that's making it so I continue my spot looking downhill. You don't want to be landing a frontside 360 completely parallel with the upper body, eyes downhill like this, because you have too much rotational energy, you're not going to be able to stop it. This should be having this arm rotated here, eyes looking back at the knuckle, chest open here. That will go and put my weight over my toe edge, letting me dig in my edge, and then use that upper body rotation to disperse for the spin. So we're going to see that a lot out of me. I'm going to wash to my heels a lot on my front side spins, and it's all because of those two things. Train the constant spot, think about it, and that'll really help. This is a little fun one. Why did I fall on this method on the hip? Hips are one of those ones that I see a lot of people struggle with. And that's because you need to match up your arc up with your arc across. If you go too up for a cross, it's not going to work. So here my issue is I'm going and landing completely downhill. Would work if I had a very straight up arc and straight down. I should do a little demo. So this would work fine if I went completely straight up and then completely straight down, because I don't have much sideways momentum. But the more you travel across the slope, the more you're going to need to make it so your landing is angled the way you're going. So since I'm gapping all the way to the half point of a hip here, I'd want to come up and land with my board slightly angled, continuing that momentum. So here I just popped up, expecting to be able to land straight back down, true transition, sort of like a quarter pipe. But because I had so much sideways momentum, it made it so as I impact the ground, my impact wasn't enough to kill my momentum, so my sideways momentum continued, and my board wasn't in a position to prepare for that, resulting in, honestly, a really painful ass slam. I really didn't like this one. You know it's a bad ass slam when it's, 8 years later, and I'm still salty about it. No, more than that, like 10 years later. Here we got some rails. This trick's pretty cool. This wasn't on purpose, but little frickin' shifty mute grab to nose tap. If you haven't tried it, nose taps on rails, you feel like a beast, absolute boss. 360 hand drag, tap. We'll break down a couple more tricks here. I'm not going to let the video get too long. This was a very important year for me, so we'll probably break this year into 2 videos. But here, when I'm hitting rails, I'm really over popping. Look at how much I'm over the rail. This isn't because I'm trying to gap it. It's just because I'm scared of clipping my edge. And then I'm letting my upper body rotate towards the front, knees rotate. So this is just not being comfortable being in that square position coming into the heel edge. I'm mostly used to getting into that position off of like my board slides for the backside approach. Oh, was that a... Sorry, I just had to go back for a sec. So that's just need more time doing backside 50-50s on less gnarly rails. Here we have a back 5 on the biggest jump at my local hill. And this one I'm able to go and land because I'm not going and throwing it very hard. It's not messing up my axis rotation very much. And here you can see that I'm somewhat doing the blind landing. It's a little bit angled wrong, but it puts my upper body into that position that I can ride away. But the main reason this rotation's nice and flat, not overdone, not overzealous with it is just because it's a big jump, I'm not throwing very hard. So my upper body is super broken at the waist, my completely down, but because I'm not using much force, it's not going and exaggerating this effect, letting me get away with it. But this is a very broken at the waist bad takeoff, so it works, but it doesn't work very well. Oh, here we actually have a pretty dope back two on. This was just like one of the ones I hucked, but there's a few things here that you could do way better. So first thing I want to point out is look at how much better this takeoff. Upper body straight, legs straight. This is just showing that I was uncomfortable with the setup carve and I was scared to do the spins, causing me to compromise my form. This is a much better snap, leaving off the tail. The problem is I'm going and blinding myself and leading with upper body a little bit too soon, too early, and that's making it so I can't continue that rotation with my upper body, making it so I need to use counter rotation, and I'm getting a little caught up on my arm here, what isn't going to give you the most control. But that was a way better takeoff than I was doing on any of these jumps. And we'll end it with this clip here, this backside 720. So for this back 7 here, we landed it, we don't count it, but why was this one a land when the other ones weren't? Pretty much it's because I missed the grab, and it's a way bigger jump, so I had more airtime to correct myself. Whenever you see arm flails like this, that's because you're trying to rebalance yourself in the air. Arms in control for waving, you're not balanced and you need to regain control. So here I'm throwing down towards the edge, but I don't go and hit the grab, and this is letting me go and keep my upper body leading the rotation a little bit more, not killing as much of that momentum. And then instead of going and having my head hold positions at the camera, instead I'm going and twirling it around and getting that spot through. So this is the right idea. You want your head to be pulling, leading the rotation like this. The problem is I had a long period where my head was stopped and then I looked through, and that's making it so I'm doing what I like to call a double spot, where you spot the landing at one point. So here I see the landing, you rotate, and then you rotate your head around and try spot again. This isn't too efficient of a way to spin because you need to delay pulling into your spin in order to go and spot again. So you're holding back, speeding it up, and it's giving you a little bit of blindness, and it's making it so you can't pull into the spin, lead with your upper body quite as much. If you ever find yourself doing a double spot in your tricks, unless you're doing something gnarly like a dub 12 or something, it's generally going to come from a mistake in form. And those combinations, bad takeoff, not continuing the spot, and trying to reach for a grab too soon, make it so I can hardly get this back 7 around. We land it. That's a great boost of confidence, but that's not a way that's going to be sustainable and healthy to do that trick. So we'll end the video here. Thanks for watching. We'll go and continue these throughout the years. And yeah, let me know if you have any feedback, but I'm planning on doing more of these. I got my laptop back, I'm not sick anymore, so we're looking good, and there's some good content on the horizon. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.